Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Need to Nerd podcast. I'm your host, Heezy. I'm joined by my co-host, the one, the only, fantasy football champion, Paddy B. Happy Fire Mike McCarthy Day.
Yeah, I hope so. Got my star and everything.
Yeah, but he's a star, buddy.
I'm a star.
Congratulations on the all end-to-end fantasy football championship win.
Thank you.
In the finals.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, as it should be. You know, I couldn't let Vinny in there. We couldn't.
Vinny got real close. Oh man,
but we are. It was
a good season.
We are not talking about fantasy football today. Maybe we will a little bit. I'm not sure. We are talking about looking back on 2024. It's January 5th, I think, is the date today. Kind of looking back on the year that we just had and just kind of reminiscing about our nerddom. Before we do that, though, did you see the numbers that Starfield posted of hours played, battles fought in space? Did you see this?
I haven't. I have not seen the numbers.
So, for those who are unaware, Starfield was like one of the most anticipated Bethesda games of all time. Like, it was. Oh man, my camera is not liking the new setup. Well, this will be interesting.
It's like, hey, where are you?
But anyway, Starfield was. I mean, it was one of my most anticipated games of all time, and it fell flat in a lot of ways. Traveling on planets, just the story being less enticing than you would hope. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've never thought Bethesda was good at storytelling. That's really not what their RPGs are about. But they came out with their year in review, and apparently it's one of the most played games in the world. Even though it got terrible reviews, and people like me who were really excited for it just didn't end up playing it.
Probably because it's on Game Pass.
You think it's because it's on? I mean, I have it on my Xbox because it's on Game Pass. But it also was a day one Game Pass release.
Sure.
Did you boot it up?
I have not booted it up yet. We'll talk about my.
Yeah, we'll talk about
my gaming stuff. But
yeah, Bethesda just revealed that Starfield is crushing it despite the haters.
That's awesome.
Including me.
Because it was really beautiful. I remember us talking about it, and it was a really pretty game.
It is a graphical marvel. And having played Star Wars Squadrons and Outlaws and different space combat games, it's pretty good space combat and controls. You really do feel like you're controlling a ship. It is really cool for that. So
cool.
With that being said, we're not going to talk too much more about Starfield. Let's talk about a look back on 2024 with our categories: Game of the Year, Film of the Year, Song of the Year, TV Show of the Year, Book/Comic of the Year, Moment of the Year, and our shoutouts for 2024. Paddy B, give me
yes, sir.
your 2024 Game of the Year.
So it's an older game, but it's certainly the game that I played the most in the year of our 2024, and it's The Witcher 3. This was the game that I 100%ed this year, and have gone back to it a little bit.
I'm not gonna lie, handing you a copy of Witcher 3, because you said you'd never played it, and you beating it before me was not on my bingo card for 2024.
That's crazy. But no, it's so good. I'm one of these like, I mean, it's kind of crazy because I now have I went from in 2024, I went from being so behind as far as like systems and stuff went to like having everything. Like somehow by the end of 2024, I ended up with an Xbox S and a PlayStation 5 Pro. So like I now am like oversaturated with gaming stuff, and like I have not played as much Magic since then, and like it's just been
What
video
was the
games,
first thing that you downloaded to your S?
uh, Fortnite, so that I could play with my wife.
Oh, okay.
That was another great thing. Was like so we played some duos the other night, and
Nice.
got our first like ranked win, or not ranked win, but like just like victory royale. So that was cool. But and then it was Witcher 3 because it was on sale. I had $100 gift card. I bought Red Dead 2, I bought Hogwarts Legacy, and I bought Witcher 3, and I still have like $50 left because
Nice.
of the sale. So
Nice.
like I can do something else whenever.
What made Witcher 3 so special for you? Like, I know, it's obviously like an 8-year-old or 10-year-old game at this point, but it really holds up for a lot of people. What made it so special for you?
Man, like I think it was just kind of us talking about like the show and like going to play something that I hadn't really dove into before. It was like I think I've mentioned it before where back when I was in St. George, like when this game was out like in the before times, like when it was like released, a bunch of my Magic friends did like a role-playing campaign based in the Witcher 3, like the Witcher universe. And like I didn't join that because I was like it was just foreign to me. But like now I'm kind of like wishing that like I had known about it so that like I could have experienced that as well. I don't know. I love these. The story's great. Um and
Does the
like
dandelion thing throw you off as much as it throws me off every time?
not really. Like
It's funny. It only throws me off in the show. Like, I mean, how many times on this show have I called him dandelion instead of just Jessica or
yeah.
whatever?
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. I think of maybe it's because like I kind of give Dandelion like that's his like character name, and like Yaskier is like maybe the name of like the bard himself, but like Dandelion is the character that
It's a
he
stage
portrays.
name.
Maybe like yeah, it's a stage name. It's like Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
Ooh, hold on. It's just doing this again. I don't know why it does that. Okay. I'll go next. My game of the year is a little surprising. If you listen to this podcast,
I was about to say
and
like
you
not
heard
if you
me
listen
talk
to
about
us.
the greatest moment I've had in gaming in the last decade, it happened in a game called Star Wars Jedi Outcast. And I said it was literally like a very special moment in gaming to me. I have not left that planet. However,
Outlaws, right?
no.
Oh, and an Outcast.
Yeah, in Outcast, the moment. Spoilers. Sorry, guys. Spoiler time.
The game is ancient now. So.
When the main character kisses his girlfriend for the first time from the first game, and you're like flying. I told you that. This is all on the podcast. Like flying across. Do you not remember me telling you, like, it was the craziest, most fulfilling thing I've ever done in gaming? I remember this. Fun fact, not my game of the year.
I was like, well, you said they both start with O, and so I was just like, Wait, is he just like messing this name? No, okay, all right. I'm
Now,
it's all
Star
coming
Wars
back to me now.
Outlaws is it's special. Like, it's honestly like Red Dead 2 special to me already, where I am bleeding it dry. Like, I am not, like, I could have beaten this game a month ago, and I caught myself doing a main quest last night or the night before, and I was like, ooh, if I keep doing this.
Wait a second. That means the fun ends at some point.
And
Let's not.
There just aren't a lot of games like that for me. Like,
Yeah.
where you're like, do I really want to do this main quest line? Because if I do...
Yeah.
So.
That's great. That's awesome.
Yeah, Star Wars Outlaws will be in my rotation for the rest of my life as like a game. It'll be like Mass Effect trilogy and like KOTOR and Red Dead 2, Valheim, Smash Bros. Like the type of games that like they're forever games for me. I want to give a shout out though, because I got this game for Christmas. And I knew I was going to love it, but I didn't know how much. And that's Mario Wonder. It's the new 2D Mario. And we did like a podcast episode where like you and I sat down and like must play games, right? Like these are games that like it was like a bonus episode for the show. And one of them in my opinion is like Super Mario World, like the first one for the SNES. Oh my gosh, it captures the magic of that so well. And like, I should be practicing Modern right now for Portland, and I often find myself playing Super Mario Wonder instead. Like, it's even taken hours out of Outlaws time by like a pretty substantial amount. There's something really nostalgic about a 2D Mario for me. It's like somebody that owned an NES and a SNES. And like, I was never good at Mario. I still don't think I'm good at all, but like, I don't know. There's something cool about it. For film of the year, for 2024, I hate mine. I don't hate my film. I just hate that it's my answer. But it's got to be Deadpool and Wolverine. I didn't see a lot of films this year that I wanted to see. So, like, I looked at some films, and I tried to pick one that came out this year rather than just things I watched this year.
Sure.
I watched Migration with my family this year. That would have probably beaten this out. But there were, like, movies... Like, I liked Deadpool and Wolverine more than Sonic 3. And I liked it more than Wicked. And I think that, like... Had I seen The Wild Robot, for example... I believe it would have won. I have no doubt that when I watch it...
about that. Yeah.
I have no doubt that when I watch it, it's going to be like... I'm going to be a tear-jerking crazy man. Transformers...
you hyped that movie up, and so I was like surprised when it wasn't.
I just never saw it. I mean, I'm going to see it. Like...
Yeah.
Another one is Transformers 1. Is another one that I like really want to see that I didn't get to see this year. It's hard, man. You have kids, and like you just don't see as many movies, and like... we watched A Family Affair. I want to say the day Christmas night. That was really good. But I don't know, man. There was something special about that opening scene of Deadpool and Wolverine that like nothing else captured this year. Like,
yeah,
we talked about it on the show, but like, just that opening line of like, you might be asking yourself, how are we going to respect the legacy that was Logan? And we're not. And then they just like immediately use his body to murder 35 or more than that. It's like,
it's probably like 100 time variant agents.
Yeah, just. There are 336 bones in the human body, unless I'm watching Gossip Girl.
Ew.
Hey. No, I think that like we got like the full experience too watching the movie because of like the people that were like, "What are we watching?" That were sitting by us, which is like, "How did you not know this is what you were getting
Yeah, or
into?"
like people left or like complaining about it after. Just
Yeah,
like,
it's like,
why are you like this?
why are you here? Why were you
Yeah.
in the room?
How did we get here?
So yeah,
Yeah.
that's mine. Um, and then I think that if I like had a worst movie of the year, it'd have to be
Oh,
like Wicked.
wow. Coming from the guy who took my wife to go see it, that's
I was just kidding. I was
crazy.
just kidding.
That's crazy. Crazy because that's my favorite movie of the year.
No, it
That's
was
my
really
film of
good.
the
I
year.
was just
It
kidding. I was
was
joking. Patty!
in our show doc I have Wicked, all caps, duh. Because uh we know who I am, like and the musical theater and kid in me has been waiting, for ages for this, and it finally happened, and it was beautiful and brilliantly done. Um it's wild, like we got the like extra features like at home version on Amazon, and like we watched some of all those like um extra deleted scenes and stuff. There's a lot of stuff I was surprised didn't make that movie. But it's great to already have it, at home because I've probably watched it like 3 times.
Yeah, that's what we did New Year's
So
Eve is we put that on for the kids.
yeah,
So that's a good one.
yeah. It's wild how much also just like how much practical, like everything was done practically. So like all those poppy fields were real. Like um just crazy. Like they built that shiz.
Yeah.
So
What about song of the year for you?
yeah, so this one was interesting. I had to do some digging, but I feel like um this was on everyone's TikTok algorithm. A lot of them have come through there. Um but particularly a bar song by Shabuzi. Like for me it was just like the song of the summer, and I
Oh,
don't know.
dude,
It's still just every time I hear it, it's just slaps every time.
dude, it's so good. And his new song is really good too. I don't know if you heard it, but um, dude,
Yeah.
I love that song. And also, it reminds me of our trip to Vegas where we would listen to that with Maxwell. I mean, you were in our car, but like that was the song blaring in our car as we
Gotcha.
were in
Cool.
Vegas together for that OCG.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a good time. Um, and I guess he also came and like opened for the Utah Hockey Club too, which
Yeah,
was awesome. So
yeah,
big big ups for Shabuzi this year.
yep. Looking this up shocked me a little bit, but apparently my number one song that came out in 2024, because I'm an Apple guy,
This
was
barely count. I
Dear
feel like
Maria ATL version. What's so funny about this, and I'll give a different answer as well because I get that this doesn't really count. But one, I think the ATL version is way better. Like he's a much better singer now. Two, my kids when this song comes on are like, if I try to change it, they will freak out.
that's
This
crazy.
is their jam. Like they
That's
love. I mean, I'm raising my kids right, man, dude. Like we listen to Paramore, Fall Out Boy, Blink 180. Like my kids know songs from all the pop punk bands, but this one was their truth.
I
Um,
love that.
the other one would be Cheekbones. It's a newer song by the wonderful Arrows in Action. They're like my second favorite band, third favorite band, like somewhere in there. Um, very catchy, very good. They're like a version of Fall Out Boy meets like I don't know. Some like Ed Sheeran meets um what's that one pop punk band that nobody will consider pop punk because they're like too poppy? They do like oh my gosh. They do the like she looks so perfect standing there in her American apparel. What is that band?
Um,
That's who they that anyway.
5 Seconds of Summer.
Yeah, 5 seconds. They're like 5 Seconds of Summer meets Fall Out Boy meets Ed Sheeran. They're very fun. Great band. My kids know way too many for a fact that like they're like just some indie band that doesn't have a label. My kids know way too many Arrows in Action songs. And Cheekbones came out this year, and actually took over my other favorite song by them from this year. So it was pretty big one.
Cool. I mean,
Actually,
you also don't have to have a label this in this time.
Fun fact:
for
Arrows in
music.
Action is in my record player next to me right now.
Nice.
Let's do our show of the year. This one was hard for me. I felt like there was a lot of good TV this year. And like also that I like Cobra Kai I thought was a like I did not expect that Cobra Kai season to be that good. After the end of the like I was like, well, I don't even know what they could do. So that was really up there for me. And then after My Villain Academy from My Hero, I was like, there's no way they can make a season that good in My Hero again. And also I knew just are you caught up?
Nope.
Okay. Where are you?
Where I was, I haven't touched it since the last time we talked.
Well, I don't know where that is, so I don't know what to say.
Just do it. Just say it. I think you dodged the spoilers last time, and I didn't care before, but
My Hero Season 7 wins my show of the year. And I think that the best episode of any anime I've ever watched is in this season. And watching it with Maxwell alone and Devonair alone and myself alone, and also texting Mason, my friend, while watching, like all of it was like it was an experience. And I just it's funny, like there's like this meme, right, of or it's not really a meme, like it's like you get to erase your memory and like experience one thing over again, right? A lot of people say like, oh, I'd love to read Harry Potter again or watch Lord of the Rings again or whatever. And like I got to experience three people's first time with the Todoroki family episode. And every time it was special. So
cool. That's exciting.
What about you?
For me, it is actually going to be a show that I wasn't expecting to like have it be that. But then and it's a show based off a video game. It's Fallout from Prime Video. And I never played those games, right? So I like didn't have I kind of just was a layman, just went in blind with it, and I was really impressed with that show. Like it was visually really beautiful. The world building was pretty great. Great actors. So yeah, I think for me the TV show of the year kind of coincided with a Magic the Gathering set release. Was the Fallout show.
No, I've been told to play those games but not play Fallout 1.
Huh.
But I know for like, I know Fallout New Vegas for like a lot of people, it's like one of their favorite video games of all time, and like Fallout 4
Yeah.
for a lot of people. So, actually, we've had Josh Sterling, one of the co-hosts of the Nerd On podcast, on the show, and he did a replay. I don't know if it was Fallout New Vegas or Fallout 4 that I watched a lot of, and it did look interesting. I like it when games give you lore in the form of like things that you can watch or read to like so that you get to decide how far into the lore you want to get. And I think Fallout does a good job of that. So it's cool. I have to watch the show because I definitely have watched hours of the video game that I've never played. Let's do our book or comic of the year. This can be any book or comic or manga, whatever it may be. And Patty B, you don't care about this one.
Yeah, so this is one that it's not a new book, and the other book, like I haven't been reading as much, which is like kind of a problem. But I really did not touch Murtaugh. Was the
Murtaugh.
only other, yeah, the only other book that like I couldn't like that I really listened to much of. But this one I listened to every couple years, and it's made its way back into the rotation. Just and it's The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F. And it helps put things back into perspective, and it's I don't know, it's a really good book. It's the one that I actually finished this year, so
I love it.
It's my book.
Yeah, I listen to audiobooks every single night, as we've talked about on this podcast. So I probably listened to I bet my most listened to book this year was probably, I'm gonna guess that it was actually Bersinger.
Okay.
I don't know why I got really into Bersinger this year. It's so funny because like people will say things in the Inheritance Facebook group, and I just immediately know the answer to like so many questions. They're like, how do you remember that? I was like, oh, I listened to it last night.
You're just like, oh, you just like appear like this, like super, knowledgeable,
it's so funny,
wise sage of Paulini stuff. It's just like, oh,
well, the thing is like, I've tried to finish into Sea of Stars, like twice, and I've gotten pretty far into it, but like, I don't know, it doesn't capture me the same way.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But my book is actually Queen's Shadow. It's the first in a trilogy of books for Padme Amidala in the Star Wars universe. And Star Wars books are really hit or miss, if you don't know this, Patty B. Some are real good, and some are like real bad. And usually it's about the author. So like Timothy Zahn is like the Star Wars author. He's actually the inventor of the character Thrawn, you might remember.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And then when they rebooted Star Wars, they asked him to say like, hey, we're getting rid of all your Thrawn stuff, but your character is so popular, we want you to rewrite him. So he did a Thrawn trilogy and then a Thrawn prequel trilogy for that. So like those were like things that I listened to over the last like few years. Queen's Shadow is really good. It takes place after they elect a new queen. So it's when they start. It is
like between Phantom Menace.
It is literally the day she becomes senator is the start of the book. Well, technically it's the day before. And it's really good. It's probably one that I will finish next, so that my wife can read it while I read Murtaugh. My wife has been reading books, and one of my goals this year is to read more with her together. But I didn't finish it this year, but it is the one that I read the like physical hard copy of a book in front of my face read the most this year.
Gotcha. Cool.
So
yeah, technically the way you listen to audiobooks, my most listened to would be from Shelby because and it would be Twilight with rain noises. There's
Is it with
someone that
rain noises version of
yeah,
Twilight?
yeah, she subscribes to a Patreon of a person who reads the audiobook. Like it's an audiobook, but it has added rain sounds.
That's so funny.
Like
Just to
that was
sleep,
my
just to
actually
sleep
most
to.
listened to thing just through her. Yeah.
What's funny is the other day, uh,
Yeah, helps her fall asleep. So.
the other day, I think Deb and I woke up at like 9 o'clock, and our kids had already been up for a little bit, and like had come in, and we were at the end of Harry Potter 7. And that, when you listen to audiobooks to fall asleep, you don't get to hear the ending of books very often. And we both wanted to listen to it. And so we had to kick Maxwell out of the room, who's currently halfway through Harry Potter 5, multiple times. And he knew what was going on, so he kept trying to sneak in or listen by the door. And we're like, go away, dude. We are listening to this. You're not invited.
Sneaky.
So
Not so sneaky. That's funny.
Let's do moments of the year. Moments, this could be any nerd moment of the year. I'm gonna let you go first because I think that yours is that for a lot of people.
Yeah. So my kind of nerd moment of the year came at San Diego Comic-Con, where it had the MCU has kind of been like a lot of misses recently, as Deadpool said in Deadpool and Wolverine. But Robert Downey made his return to the MCU as Doctor Doom, and they had this big like reveal announcement, which like we hadn't really had in a while with the MCU. So like that was like a really cool moment, and like a harkening back to a previous time of big announcements.
Yeah, I have two reactions to this. The first is that allegedly this was always the plan, but in the future. They weren't supposed to do it this soon.
Okay.
Like,
but all that stuff with Jonathan Majors happened, so like that got kind of pushed forward.
So here's the dealio that I understand is that originally Disney was going to rent the rights to this franchise because they didn't have them, and they always planned on a multiverse version where Doctor Doom was I don't know how it's going to be played out, so don't get me wrong, but there is a version of Doctor Doom that is Tony Stark.
Yeah.
And that they always planned on that. Now, we don't know if that's the plan now.
Sure. They could certainly do it because, that's yeah. They're also going to like the whole like Secret Wars Battle World thing. Like I don't know, like it's there's a lot of crazy stuff going to happen, and I'm here for it.
There's like, I don't want to say it's like problematic, but like one thing that I'll say is that every time something comes up for DC, my wife loses her mind. She's like, I will never forgive them for what they did to Witcher and Henry. Like, they ruined Witcher, which is one of her favorite shows, by telling him he couldn't do it and being Superman, and then also not giving him an actual Superman movie. And then, like, they also ruined the Justice League movie for no reason. So, if anything, MCU may be dying, but like, at least it's not dying like that.
Hey man, DC is making a comeback. That Superman trailer has me all kinds of excited.
Devin won't watch us, so you gotta take me.
Okay.
She's boycotting DC. She's all done.
Oh well, that's a shame.
Uh, do you know mine? Do you know the
No.
significance of mine?
Nope.
Okay.
Enlighten me. I read it and I was like, okay.
So Suiji is a speedrunner for the most popular speedrun game in speedrunning, which is Mario 64.
Yep.
So there are multiple categories that you can speedrun. There's 120 stars, the number of stars in the game. There's 64 stars. There's 14 stars. I don't actually know them all. But after getting the 120 star speedrun, Suiji suddenly had all of them but one. He also was
As far as
previous,
like the record times for
yes.
things.
He also was in second place and the previous owner of that specific one. And people asked him for months, like, "Are you going to do it? Are you going to do it? Are you going to do it? Are you going to do it?" And after the 120 star run, which is, have you ever watched a Super Mario 64 speedrun, Patty B?
I not like on purpose.
They are crazy.
But just like, yeah, people try to do that.
Crazy. Like I used to watch like Pokemon Blue speedruns for fun. But like Mario 64 speedruns are like, that's a legit competition. Like you're shaving seconds. Anyway, Suiji did in fact finally do it, and is currently, as the time of the recording, the holder of every single Mario 64 speedrun record, which is the most speedrun game, I think, by speedrun.com by like millions of attempts. And he owns, like, he's like the Michael Jordan meets Larry, or not Larry Bird. Michael Jordan meets Tom Brady meets Wayne Gretzky meets Tiger Woods. Like,
of speedrunning.
But the thing is like, you have to understand that, like, people, you can speedrun, you could go get a speedrun record. You just there has to be a certain number of attempts, and you have to register it with the website and like whatever, right? And then it has to be reviewed by mods, and then it's approved. This person owns every record for the game that everyone wants to own every record for.
Yeah, that sounds very Gretzky. That's why, like, that's very the great one.
It's so funny too, because like Matt Kling has he did a 16 or a 28 star run during Quentin's bachelor party on my Switch, playing out on a Switch instead of a 64. And people were really impressed. They're like, "Oh my gosh, you just did that in like 2 hours." He's like, "Yeah, that's not a good time." Like, that's like. And what's so funny to me is, like, I watched it after Matt was like, that was the most anticlimactic thing ever. I was like, dude, he's like sobbing. He's like, yeah, he was way more emotional during all the other ones because he knew he was going to get it. Like, he was so much better than everyone else that he knew he would get it, and he could get it whenever he wanted.
That's funny. I love that.
So, but yeah, that was my moment, is like watching that speed run. Like, I'm pretty casual. Like I said, I watch Pokemon, I watch some Mario stuff. I watched some like Smash Classic Mode stuff, like that. But like, I don't know. When you're that much better at everyone else at the thing you do, I you know, as a Tom Brady fan, I just got to appreciate that. Shout outs for 2024. Let's break them off. Let's popcorn it. Petty B, what's your first one?
I'm going to change my order around a little bit. I'm going to start out by shouting out fantasy football, where this year was really fun. We got like a lot more people involved than, well, not more people, but like having my sister and my wife playing was really fun this year. and then like I reduced the number of leagues that I played in as well, and that I think added to
it's
my
so much more fun when you only have like 1 to 2 leagues to me.
yeah. So I might be continuing to reduce down this next year, but
You gotta send me.
I had to give it a
You
shout
gotta
out.
send me a picture of the ring you buy for yourself.
Ring?
That's what
You
we
think
do.
I'm just buying a ring?
Oh, okay. We changing the reward now. I see.
I mean, I want to have
A traveling
I'm
trophy.
gonna. I mean, no, but like I would like to own a WWE belt, and so like they make them for fantasy football,
Fair enough.
like
Fair enough.
championships, and so I
My
want to have one of those.
my first shout out is Standard coming back to Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
Wow. Magic is so much better when Standard's a part of it. It's unbelievable.
Like we've been saying that for years and years.
It's like I've been saying it for years. Yeah. I just people are like Standard's dead. It'll never come back. I'm like, nah. When it does, you'll be like, this is the best thing in the world.
Yeah.
It's the best. It's literally Magic to me. Like it is. Yeah, that's mine. I might cry if I talk about it. Like I just winning a Standard RCQ with a teamer deck was like one of the highlights of my year, and like it just brought me back to like so many happy times in my life playing Standard Magic. So
That's awesome.
what's your next one?
So I'm gonna shout out. I talked about like wanting to have a WWE belt, right, for fantasy football trophy. I got a lot more into WWE this year. Whether it was through like these TikTokers, like watching clips and stuff. The owners at Kayfabe are big wrestling guys, and so like it was super fun this year to kind of talk about that, and it was a really cool part of this year.
That's a huge part of nerd culture that I've never gotten into, but like I remember this year there was like a Christmas present, or like it was actually of a WWE belt being given to a kid.
Yeah, and then his dad got the cash in thing.
The cash. Yeah. Did I send you this?
Little like but I've seen it multiple times. Where little like Irish kid.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I should asked Santa for a WWE belt. It's just like,
and
actually,
he's like,
here's
it's money in the bank. It was
briefcase.
money in the bank.
Yeah.
And I sent it to one of my patrons of my other podcast. So I was like, hey, is this funny? Like, look, like I'm laughing and I don't even get it. And he's like, this is really funny. Like, this is a good TikTok.
Yeah, it's great. It's
My next shout out is Paddy's wife. You know, just coming to the movies with me. Always being around when Paddy doesn't love me anymore. No, I'm just kidding. It's my wife. Shout out to Devin. She's just kind of been like a consistent part of my nerddom. You know, Paddy mentioned that my setup changed. You can see that if you're watching the video. And like, you know, I think that being a gamer, anime, Magic the Gathering nerd comes with some stuff that like your wife has to accept about you. And I'm very grateful for Devonair and Shelby for accepting that about me. Why does this upset you? I don't understand why it bugs you. You're like blushing. Shelby's great. And I just want to steal your shout out to her.
Well, I was going to say, so it looks like I was going in reverse order, but I'm going to combine these two. Because this has been a year, unlike others, where I have done a lot more musical theater than in years past. Whether it was like hopping onto Anastasia, like very last minute, as you know, at a theater at the beginning of the year, running the microphone and sound for a production of that show at the end of the year, and then everything that came with being Quasimodo this year. It has been just a wild ride, and it took up a lot of my time and a lot of my time with her. Kind of went and taken away and went into that, and so I wanted to give her a shout out for like being so patient and like willing to like putting up with that evaporation of my time between like that and trying to still do like the competitive magic thing. Like
Hey man, I
I've been
wasn't
like
joking when I
gone
was
for a
saying your wife
bit.
a shout out. I think your wife's pretty great.
It's awesome. So
No, I think we both hit the jackpot, and we're both pretty lucky dudes. Like,
yeah, we are. Holy crap.
so, I'm gonna delete one of mine, but my next one's gonna be the Star Wars. I was pretty down on Star Wars coming into this year, and I was really down on it. I think like halfway through the year, when maybe it was not half. Whenever the Acolyte stuff happened, I just was like, maybe I can't be a Star Wars fan. Like maybe, like, man, I'm gonna cry. Listen, I found myself saying something that I actually got from former guests on the show. Another nerd on. Man, I am gonna cry. Just don't yuck people's yum. Like, can we stop? Do you know how much I don't enjoy the WWE, Patty? I don't find it funny. I don't find it interesting. But when it comes up, I text my friends about it because I know they love it. Like, and you just went off this thing about how much you love the WWE this year, and I wasn't like, well, that's stupid. You're stupid for liking it, and like, here's all the problems with it, and here's why it's like, no, because that's a stupid thing to do. Nobody cares why you don't like something.
Yeah.
And like, I loved the Acolyte. I thought it had some of the best characters. My wife and I binge watched. Well, only because of her. My wife binged watched Star Wars Skeleton Crew. I don't know. I say that, but it was like 2 to 3 episodes at a time. But like, all right, we're done. She's like, no, no, no. And I just there was a moment I think it was 2 nights ago, where we just had the nerdiest Star Wars conversation, like that you could possibly imagine. Where I walked downstairs and I was like, "Listen, I need to tell you something, and I don't want you to judge me for it." And she's like,
we listen and we don't judge.
and she's like, "Okay." I was like, my highest by a substantial margin faction in this game is the Crimson Dawn. And she's like, "Oh, you're a bad guy." And like, I was like, "Wait, hold on. You don't even know the other factions." She's like, "Isn't that Darth Maul's?" I was like, "Yes, but hold on. You don't know the other faction." And I just, the level that Star Wars has reached in my relationship, where my wife and I can have this conversation, means 1, I have failed her as a husband, and 2, that I have succeeded as a man. Like, she was like, "Hold on. What do you mean you're a part of the Crimson Dawn?" I was like, "I'm not a part of them. They just really like me because I do a lot of stuff for them."
Yeah. That's great.
And it was really funny because we were watching. Have you watched the new show yet, the Skeleton Crew? Any of it? One of the pirates' name is Crimson something, and we both were like, "Oh. I don't know." Star Wars hit like a new level in my house, and it's just like my favorite thing of all time. Like having my wife love it like that, I remember when we were dating and she told me she was a big Piccolo fan from Dragon Ball Z. She's like, I'm a big fan of Piccolo. I was like, well, I'm gonna marry this woman. Like I'm it's like
That's awesome.
so. And then just to wrap up, because I think you did all yours.
I did.
Just thank you to Magic the Gathering once again. I thought Foundations Limited was a breath of fresh air compared to previous limited formats, going back to a very basic style of Magic that I just really enjoy in Limited. I really love Core Set Limited. I know people find it really boring, they don't find it interesting, but like I think that from like a fundamentals and from like a skill building and like all of those things, Core Set Limited is like one of the best things in the game.
Yeah, Core Set Limited is awesome. It's definitely the most limited format that I played this year. Was Foundations Limited. So
that's going to do it. Next week, we're going to talk about what we're looking forward to in 2025. Thank you so much, Patty B. Where can people find you?
They can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at PattyBMTG. Same on Blue Sky.
You can find me on Blue Sky at Spencer13H. You can find the podcast at NeedToNerdPod. Thank you, everybody, so much. We'll see you all next week when we come at you with the things that we're excited about in 2025. Bye.